Welcome back to our IESF 2019 Dota 2 coverage. My name is Raph. I'm back here with Aqua, and we've been covering the Swiss rounds of Dota 2 up until now, and we've finally finished round 4. So I think we have some results to show up on screen. The match we were commentating for round 4 was Philippines versus Serbia. Of course, Philippines coming out with another snowball win. It didn't look like there were maybe a couple of times where there's some hiccups there. Serbia, didn't go down without a fight, but Philippines still looking incredibly strong.
Yes, there was a difference in the draft where Philippines could constantly fight while Serbia was kind of tied to that cooldown or the Void Faces Void ultimate. But at the same time, Serbia pulled out really great team fights when they could. But Philippines kept their aggression and didn't really give Serbia any room to breathe in the end.
Yeah, it just kind of got strong and kept getting stronger after that. So at the end of everything, the teams that you're seeing here who are winning are probably going to be playing against each other coming up. So, for example, our next match that we'll be featuring is going to be the Philippines versus Thailand. They're both undefeated so far in the Swiss round, so that's pretty impressive.
Yes, both Southeast Asian teams showing very strong results. But now they have to decide which one's the better team right now. We've been seeing a lot of Philippine games. We saw one Thailand game up to the draft.
That's right. We saw the draft of the Thailand game. They also picked Faceless early. So that's maybe a common trend we're seeing. Although, from what you were saying, maybe a little bit of a holdover from previous patches.
Yes, back in the... not back in the day.
I was going to say back in the day as in like 3 weeks ago. Like what?
Yeah, just like a month ago, Faceless Void was a really stable top 3 pick. Just safe first pick. You can't say that for a lot of carries, but it really was a good pick. But right now, with a lot of nerfs to the Academics and the Ultimate, I wouldn't really call it a safe pick, but a lot of teams are opting to pick it early. So we'll see if Thailand picks Faceless Void early again and make something happen with it.
Yeah, I mean, at least the previous way that teams were using Faceless because of the very low X cooldown, I don't know if that's working as intended, because the idea is that it's a very, game-changing kind of ult. Now it's like you have to use it to really make a big impact in the game. You can't just run between each lane. By the time you get there, you've got your ult back up again. So interesting to see kind of that being a little bit of a trend. There's other trends. Like I don't think we've seen IO make it through the draft just yet. So actually, wait a second. Didn't we see IO in their first game of the day yesterday? Or maybe
I think it was banned.
No, I think it was banned there. All right. So anyway, there are some things change, but some things stay the same no matter what patch we're on. And even though we did have a new version of the patch drop just yesterday in the middle of everything, I don't think that's really changed the way that too many teams play. So it looks like right now we're getting our teams into the lobby for our Swiss round 5 games. This will be the final round of Swiss, and we'll be moving on to the semifinals coming up next. So I don't know exactly which teams we're going to be seeing in the semifinals, but it could be absolutely, well, I guess it probably will be one of the teams that we're broadcasting next.
Yes, I mean, Philippines, Thailand, both really great contenders for the semifinals. And like on the result page, we saw like Team Sweden, even Team Mexico, I think have a possibility of making it to the semifinals.
I think Sweden and Finland will maybe be playing each other next. We don't have the graphic ready for the next round of matchups, but it's going to be interesting to watch because we haven't highlighted really a lot of European or CIS Dota out there. We got a chance to watch Serbia in our last game, but there's a lot more talented Dota talent here as well. So really looking forward to that. I was talking to some of the Swiss Dota, well, not their Dota players because they're obviously practicing, but one of the esports managers from Switzerland. And apparently the mood is much better today. Everybody's like feeling good about the new IGR that all the teams are playing in. So looks like things are moving along pretty well out there. So maybe we'll get a chance to check them out a little bit later on. But of course, everybody who's maybe, I would say, 2 losses and lower is going to really struggle to make it to the playoffs at this point.
Yeah, I mean, given that the 5th round is a final round, they really have to make it or break it. But, I mean, it's a Swiss format. If you are starting with 1 loss might be, like, okay, tolerable. But, like, if you have two losses, you would feel that you're quite far behind.
It's so punishing because, there's some formats like best of 5 double elimination. I'm like, wow, well, you just get a lot of chances to win there. But with Swiss, it's super punishing because, it's best of 1s for each one of these rounds. So you just lose twice and all of a sudden it's basically impossible. Like that's pretty crushing. Thankfully, we have 5 rounds of Swiss, so there's plenty of opportunities for some shakeups. But I think it's pretty clear that at least DOTA is pretty strong so far in IESF with Thailand and Philippines representing.
Yeah, and also like in terms of all this like national representation tournaments, Southeast Asian teams has always traditionally been strong in this national pride battles.
True. Yeah,
you see that who was it? TNC would traditionally win in the WSG DOTA department.
Pretty classic example of DOTA.
Yeah, and Southeast Asian countries regularly hold these national tournaments, which would boost their team's morale, and they do put a lot of pride in these representations.
Yeah, I just got done with SEA Games. Obviously, there's Southeast, or it wasn't Southeast Asian Games, it was Asia Games. Yeah, last year as well. So yeah, lots of those regional kind of competitions going on down here. Kind of a cool area of the world when it comes to esports, because more so than the rest of it, you do get these kind of national competitions. But at least for this one, it does appear as if they're doing pretty well, and it looks like we are apparently waiting on our teams to start up our next draft. Also, I believe we do have a graphic at least in preparation for the round 5 Swiss matchups, because that's going to really impact. Obviously, the last round of Swiss will heavily impact the next round because we only have 4 teams get out of all of these teams from our Swiss rounds. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, we started with 20, and we have 1 forfeit, but still, 4 teams out of 20 teams. That's pretty brutal. But that's the way esports goes.
That's the way it goes.
So who will be the top 4 is the big question right now.
I think if you just let me look at either just the flags or just the rosters, we could see those ahead of time. Obviously, the Swedish roster, pretty stacked. Finland also has a great opportunity. But, just seeing that, maybe the Execration roster coming out of the Philippines, I hadn't gotten a chance to watch them too much, but they've really come out super strong. And then Trust coming out of Thailand, obviously having a stellar performance there as well. I don't know. Was there a team that really? I guess seeing Mexico do so well is pretty interesting. Watching
South America and DOTA, they've been really getting some sort of boost for they've been really grinding it out, really working hard for past I think a couple of years. So the most of the talents were prominent in Peru and I say Brazil. But now Mexican DOTA representing themselves. They did lose their 4th round, but they were pretty high in the ranks.
Yeah, I want to say so when I was watching WCG qualifiers for Americas, I think Hippomaniacs won that, but Latin American DOTA is really coming up. I think they got 3rd that tournament. I'm not totally sure, and I don't know how they're doing in the WESG qualifiers either. So if you guys can tweet those results at RapidCasting, I will reference them with your Twitter handle later on. And of course, a big thanks to everybody who's been watching the DOTA coverage here. So it looks like we're ready for our next game already. Okay, Thailand on the top. And the same Filipino roster that we had in our previous game, right back at it again on the bottom.
Chan banned out right away. Looks like somebody's stunning replays.
Yeah, I was going to say, or they just watched it on the gigantic screen we have it broadcasting on a few feet away from us. So, I'm actually excited to see what it looks like to not just watch another Thailand draft, but actually watch them play this time, because we were hyping them up. These are the old school gods of Thai DOTA.
Yes, and Chan's pretty good pick to just ban out in the first phase. But we haven't seen IO ban yet, so we have our hopes up. Veno and Leshrock banned early. This means that they're just telling each other, we're gonna leave a lot of these top tier bans alive. So let's split them. You take IO and we take something else.
Certainly if you give up something like IO Tiny, all these classic combos, that's a lot to put on the board. Still no Viper ban. That's been a very kind of high priority picker ban so far.
The thing about IO is that like when you like split out these top tier picks instead of banning them out with your opponent, usually the first pick has an advantage, but that's not the case for the IO unless you have a lot of IO pairs prepared, because your opponent would just take IO +1 after you take whatever you consider as a top tier pick.
Well,
Night Stalker ban, so
open.
Tiny first.
Okay, so grabbing Tiny says, okay, well, at least you won't have that to pair with the IO. But you have to imagine that, especially with a couple of picks coming through here, Philippines have to be thinking about it.
Yes, and first pick Tiny is really flexible.
Right.
Tiny can go into any lane, even support. And also Tiny can go either the carry build or the Blink Dagger nuker build. Pretty good against IO as well, ironically. So
which is kind of interesting because it also, like, it's good against it, but it also pairs well with it. So yeah, lots of versatility here. And it also says, well, you know, if you don't take it, then probably we'll just see it grabbed again before the next ban phase.
So as the first time IO not being banned, we are expecting to see an IO pick, but at the same time, Philippines can opt out to pick some other heroes. Puck also banned out a lot. It's been nerfed on the last patch since we got a patch yesterday, but I mean a bit of a nerf on its armor doesn't really, I guess, push it down a tier.
Right, armor is not why you pick Puck, right? I mean, it still obviously accomplishes the same role. But if you don't grab IO here, I mean, this is starting. We're making a big deal out of that. Obviously, it's less important to pick IO and more important to like pick a team comp that works for you. But some of the things that worked really well for Philippines. That's like Kunkka, even Lina was like pretty key to their early strategy in the last game versus Serbia.
So first pick Puck doesn't really telegraph IO pick to me. I might just give IO to the Tiny. And yeah, I mean, first pick Tiny meant that if you're not taking IO, we're gonna take it. But at the same time, Puck and Gyrocopter, really good response to relocate ganks or any sort of IO movements. So I think Team Philippines has prepared well against IO Tiny combo. And Puck and Gyrocopter, definitely strong picks. Gyrocopter has been a bit less used these days, but really strong team fighter. Still one of the go-to carries, especially in the Sin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, not without counters, but certainly something that I guess is a first for us to at least see in our broadcasted games. So let's think about it now that we enter our next ban phase. We've sort of locked down, okay, well, this is kind of the concept, especially for Thailand. IO Tiny is pretty iconic when it comes to compositions, but there's still a lot left open as far as, I mean, I guess we have Chen banned this time around, but certainly a lot of roamers open. Tusk has been, I think Thai team picked Tusk last time we were casting their draft. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So that was Rubik Tusk, if I remember correctly. And yeah, the heroes like Rubik and Tusk, who has casual stuns, just stuns is a normal skill, would be something that Thailand would like to ban against the Philippines right now, since there's Puck with ultimate. That's a really good catch, but at the same time, Puck doesn't really have any other catch than the Dream Coil. And Gyrocopter would enjoy some more stuns from its supports or other cores, just so that its laning can be augmented, or general DPS could be helped in a bit.
Kind of interesting to see the Philippines ban Lina when they were such a big, Lina advocate in the previous series. Why do you think they went with the Lina ban there? Because I think that's the first time we've seen this ban so far.
They're just denying a really good support / mid nuker that can kind of complement IO. Because since IO is more of a augmentation to a core than a hero by itself during the laning phase or during any phase of the game, you want Lina or just any strong support that can stun, that can nuke, that can DPS, that can roam around when IO is kind of gaining levels with the carry. And not Tiny, but Ogre into Tidehunter ban would also reflect that, like Gyrocopter, Puck, Tidehunter. That would be a really devastating teamfight combo in 3 heroes. And Ogre Magi has everything Gyrocopter would ask in a support. It has a good steroid, it has a stun, it has a slow DOT. And there's Beastmaster ban coming out. That's a really good pair with IO with Hawk stun, Hawk visions.
Oh yeah, actually that's really
initiations.
True. Much less the roar, but yeah, now through to the next phase for picks. We're gonna get a chance to see at least a little bit more of the supporting cast. Obviously, you were saying like anything with click stuns is like really gonna help out as far as DPS is concerned, but will help enable the DS or the DPS. Undying.
They actually choose to augment their, I mean, a bit of a laning phase and a team fight. Undying's, ever since its rework on its ultimate, people usually regard it as a nerf. But at the same time, Undying with its ultimate on is a lot more survivable than it was before. But still, I mean, the whole essence of Undying is bullying the enemy out of the lane.
Right.
And IO Tiny are both strength heroes, so DK stealing strength stats is a lot more impactful than other attribute heroes.
Really good point. Definitely something that we could see here, but I don't know. I mean, it used to be like, oh, big scary tombstone, but more than that, it's just like the, well, you will have to leave this lane eventually. And so we're starting to see sort of the picture unfold for the Philippine roster, but this is definitely not the same style that they've been playing previously, or at least the draft is looking much different for them this time. So I guess also same thing for Thai team, but we haven't actually gotten a chance to see them play yet.
I mean, Thai team has a really good historical duo that is IO Tiny, and their Legion Commander really good offlaner this patch. I would like prefer to see it on the Philippine side as well, but you know, they got Undying. They have their own plan going on, obviously. I would still like them to pick up some sort of catch, some sort of stun that they could use to like dictate the pace of the game during the mid game. Since they got Puck, and Puck's ultimate is the only catch they have at the moment.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're going to see million dollar dream coils in this series necessarily. What makes you want to see Legion Commander on Philippines roster?
I mean, it's really survivable against Gyrocopter plus any support, unless Undying comes to Gyrocopter lane, which I don't think is the most optimal choice. And Legion Commander does provide really good, like that Beastmaster banned out, and Beastmaster ultimate that will set up the relocate ganks. Legion Commander ultimate does provide a similar effect. So Legion Commander just walks in, casts the ultimate while IO Tiny is coming in, and she like either she wins duel or not, she provides enough time for IO Tiny to come in and properly sets up that relocate gank.
Yeah, so we're looking for more of like a carry Tiny build here, not necessarily just walking in, one-shotting and leaving.
Yeah, became very viable since that tree grab became permanent until you throw it.
Yeah.
And IO Tiny has been a bit overlooked ever since the tree grab had that tree limitation on it. And looks like it will be more of a lane domination and more of a overpowering instead of catching and ganking, which Philippines opted used against Serbia last game.
Well, you know, one thing you were talking about is, you know, you have to adapt to the patch, and is especially key on this patch, even after a small, or in the last hotfix yesterday, was that your composition has to really come online a lot earlier thanks to these outposts. And certainly when you look at the Philippine roster right now, this is like they're gonna like just man up and fight you, and certainly making a strong case for controlling that objective.
Dire team bad.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to overpower from the laning phase. Like, not even gonna let the game go beyond 20 minutes. Timbersaw Undying, really good solution against Tiny IO Legion Commander 3 strength heroes. Gyrocopter and Puck, I think they are considering a possibility that the only stun they would need is Dream Coil.
Is that? I mean, that's a bold statement to make, right? I feel like any sort of CC, especially if you just look at the last game that we broadcast, like even just like X marked the spot catch, much less, you know, the Lena stuns and everything else, just helped get the snowball rolling for Philippines so hard. And now you look at the Thai roster, it's like, well, they've got a ton of damage, but I mean, outside of, it's like, you know, I don't know, Blink, Toss, and, you know, Legion ult, it's like, well, yeah, they're gonna need to get a lot of work done with that.
Yeah, I think Team Philippines would take Undying and Timbersaw and just bully the strength heroes out of the lane.
Yeah.
And just take one good team fight with Dream Coil and cooldown from Gyrocopter and Tombstone. So they have a pretty good game plan already cut in stone. But the last 5th pick should probably round out their roster a bit more. I would hope. Like Kunkka is pretty good, but they still have to deal with Viper in mid lane and
it's gonna be a big pain.
During the mid game, Timbersaw would probably struggle against Viper as well. Skywrath is banned.
Yeah, that is actually kind of interesting. I think the Tide ban earlier makes a lot of sense because obviously that's just massive amounts of chaotic CZ. So now we've got the last 30 seconds of overtime to figure out exactly what Thailand team wants to take off the field.
I would say
yeah, there's that Kunkka ban. Okay.
Yeah, so that's one good mid laner I wanted to see from Thailand, from Philippines, just banned out. Really good ban, I think.
Yeah, especially since we got a chance to see them use it so devastatingly well in the previous game. So yeah, already a lot of the picks from that previous Filipino draft completely taken out. They got Chen, Lina, and Kunkka, all from their previous games. So gonna look a lot different. And here comes the last few seconds for Thailand.
So I am IoTiny on the safe lane, and Legion on the off lane. So what would they pair with Legion Commander on the off lane to offset Puck Jarok on the lane? Zeus.
Oh wait, okay.
So that's a lot of magic damage, and at the same time, like that Beastmaster ban or stuff like that, Zeus would provide some global vision every time it uses ultimate, or later on gets an Aghanim. So it helps out with IoTiny gank either before the gank or during the gank.
I mean, my thing is like, so you pick Zeus, right? But like, there's still relatively low mobility here. And, all I'm trying to say is that when you're getting like just man fight like every second of the lane phase, like this is definitely something. Oh, TA is finish things off. Okay, well that certainly solves the damage issues.
Yeah, that solves a lot of damage issues. I mean, it doesn't solve the lack of stuns.
Right.
But it's all about laying snowball. Like the first game we saw from the Team Philippines, like the first round game, they weren't really doing any mid-game ganks or late-game team fights because they didn't need to. They snowballed from the laning phase get-go. And Nico played really mean Templar Assassin back then. I mean, Viper is a classic counter to Templar Assassin. That's the public opinion. But at the same time, if the Templar Assassin is experienced enough, you can use a pretty good meld strike to just match the damage against Viper, bullet it out of the lane. Viper is surprisingly fragile during the laning phase, so they could definitely abuse that.
Yeah, no one's going to accuse Viper of being tanky, but man, this is so iconic for me. I mean, just getting to see my pro on Legion Commander is like, it's going to be a treat. And of course, Q out there on Tiny is going to be an iconic part of this Thai roster. It's 2019, I'm still seeing IoTiny in my games. I'm like, okay, some things never changed. But
yeah.
It's going to be really fun to kind of watch this combo, given that we haven't seen much IO on the field today, probably in any of the games that are played, even the ones that we didn't get a chance to cast. But
yes, and the first game we see IO, we see IoTiny.
Yeah, I know.
So that would be a treat to watch. But like, it's the laning phase. But it's the ball on the Team Philippines court. So Team Philippines has to make it work. They picked as a final pick, Templar Assassin against Viper. And Undying Timbersaw has to bully IoTiny enough that they can snowball ahead of them.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, when it comes to our Philippine roster, all that we've seen from Philippines, we've broadcast, I think, 2 of their games so far, is that they are just so dominant. From minute 1, they get into it. Let's get into our second game of the day. It is going to be Philippines versus Thailand, except that the game has been paused. So we're going to have a little bit more time to talk about it before we actually get a chance to watch them play it.
Yeah, I mean, it will be interesting how they solve their lack of stuns, but a lot of laning presence. But IoTiny, even if they kind of take a disadvantage during the lane, they can just farm it out since Tiny farms incredibly fast now.
Yeah, especially if you have good support from
even without IO, Tiny is a really good carry on its own these days. But that Tiny just coming back from the jungle, I mean, they can take a loss on outpost battles like pre-20 minutes, but after that, once Tiny gets like 1 or 2 core items, comes a line, Legion Commander just sets up a gank with the dagger, and IoTiny comes in, just pick off 1 by 1. That snowball, that reverse snowball might happen if the laning phase isn't strong enough for the Team Philippines.
The unsnowball. It's like the snow is there, but then you heat the snow and it melts and the mudslide covers it up. It's like, I guess the mudslide is like the reverse snowball because you have to have like more heat to melt the water to make the. I don't know. I'm really trying to make my weather analogies work.
Is it scientifically correct?
You know, I get like a B- my earth science class in 7th grade, but other than that, I have no qualification, especially not when it comes to analogies like that. So let's just get into the game and talk about some Dota. Thailand are your team on the Radiant side, and then Dire will be our Filipino squad.
Yes, and Thailand, this Zeus, I would imagine, just spam lightning bolt on the off lane. Just slightly out of the range, but they set up Puck and Timbersaw together. So Puck can bully Io out of the lane pretty hard. So Undying with Gyrocopter would secure a really good laning phase for the Gyrocopter. This is a similar setup to the first round game of Team Philippines. They actually put a really strong but a harassing support, I think it was a Train Protector, on the safe lane, securing safe laner or farm. That was Venomancer, that was actually off-laner playing it. Palos was playing Morphling on the off-lane that game. But Palos now playing Gyrocopter on the safe lane with Kimo really securing him with lane bully powers of Undying.
2v1 is still fighting for the rune here. I mean, this is just... Oh, okay, let's just keep an eye on that. What is it? Yeah, okay, even split. Never mind.
No, actually, Philippines took 3, I think. Gyrocopter, Timbersaw, and the only rune they lost was against the one that Undying couldn't took against Zeus.
Or do you mean Thailand took 3? Because I'm pretty sure I saw
yeah, Philippines took 3, I think.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Just making sure. Well, anyway, highest net worth Undying. Nice. Not for long.
Undying doesn't really have that moment where he would enjoy all this net worth.
Yeah.
Lane bully from right away. I mean, Nether Toxin got nerfed in terms of cooldown being increased by 10 seconds, but poison attack is still a serious headache, especially for heroes like Templar, Assassin. Mypro caught in the wrong side of the map.
Yeah, he's on the wrong side of the tracks up there. Very, very low. I mean, I don't think he's going to die right there, but certainly not going to have any presence, especially not in that 1v2. Pulling a wave out there, I mean, I guess that's also an important part.
No, I like what Tigger is doing. What they're doing is they accept that Gyrocopter Undying lane is really strong, so they just pull double wave.
Oh, snipe gets it.
Puck gets a courier snipe. This is exactly the same movement from the first game, but at the same time, this would ensure Legion Commander some farm with this double wave coming pulled by Zeus. But Kimo is really trying to throw a wrench to this plan. Half HP of Zeus, trying to keep that aggro.
Has been killed.
But Kimo loses his courier while being all the way out in the Radiant side.
Yeah, he dragged it from tier 2 on one side to tier 2 on the other. That's definitely going the distance. But really, I mean, my pro made it work. I was a little bit worried
Radiant's top tower
that would not work. Or Kimo made it work.
Tigger pulled a lot of creeps. Mashiram coming to harass Tigger, but Tigger already stole regeneration from Templar Assassin, which is really needed. I think Zeus is making a lot of things work from the minute 1 towards minute 2. So pull the creep to secure a lot of EXP for Legion Commander. Legion Commander should hit like level 3 from just that alone, and denying regeneration rune to Templar Assassin, who was getting harassed a lot by Viper. That's good work done, and it shows that each team understands each other's draft a lot, and trying to deny them their strength. So Puck just comes into the mid lane and soaks some EXP up, while Templar Assassin just goes jungling.
Top tower is under attack.
I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense for Nico because he is just not having any success there in mid. I mean, Viper is going to be pretty dominant, probably no matter who you send against that. Masarim is really getting a lot of work done here, not just as a support, but also doing a pretty decent job as a mid replacement here.
He really wants a level 3, just so that he can get phase shift, because, I mean,
Radiant structures are fortified.
he can disjoint with his Ethereal Zalt, But he needs another.
Another destroying against these auto tag. I think going for the
diving, but
dive here.
juking it out,
Fearless.
juking it out.
One more hit.
Bashir has Waning Rift left in his toolkit, but does not disjoint. He's actually going for the.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to hit level 3, so at least that's there. But, oh, he can't get in range in time.
He tried with. He waited until his level 3, and he tried to go for the kill with the level 2 Waning Rift and the level 1 orb, but you know, level 2 in the corrosive skins would provide some sort of magic resistance. Undyne going for a Courier Snipe.
Looks like he's gonna get it. Sees the courier. It is.
Courier's running.
Yeah. Run away. Oh, this is the most intense part of our matchup today. But at the very least, Kimo's gonna go for a pull here. Tigger does not want to let that happen. I haven't really seen Zeus in lane almost the entire game.
Meanwhile, Timbersaw getting bullied out of the lane.
Epic picture-in-picture. Thank you very much to our wonderful observing production team.
Undyne just casually stealing strength while strolling along with all these creeps.
Like you're not allowed to talk to me or my creeps ever again. Man, Viper dominating this early mid lane, and I mean, we haven't seen TA. TA is just gone from the game completely, trying to jungle her way back into the game.
I mean, she still has sizable net worth, but Viper, I mean, it was kind of expected to happen when Philippines picked the Templar Assassin into the Viper. But
Well,
yeah.
I mean, we were talking about how you're going to have a rough lane as TA there, but you can just, you know, lose a little bit of CS sacrifice for a while, but I don't think Philippines expected that lane to go that poorly.
I mean, this has gone to like, this has gone from bad to worse. Is that Puck, who should been helping Timbersaw out in the off lane, is now in the mid lane, you know, soaking up that EXP, protecting the mid tower, which means that Timbersaw is now having a weaker laning phase, and I mean, Undyne really can't get the laning bully job done as well, since it has to run around, fight Tigger, who double waved the first wave, and now he's been roaming around since Legion Commander is already too strong with level 3 or 4. And Timbersaw is getting nuked down.
Yeah, pushing him back. I mean, he's got a slight level advantage, but 2-on-1's going to be rough, especially with all that IO regen coming back. He just can't fight him, and so really things falling apart just slightly here for Philippines, not really getting to play their game.
But Zeus and Viper really made that first 3 minutes work for Team Thailand, and Philippines lost all that side lane advantage they had with their draft. But Puck is still level 4 against the level 1 Zeus, which is 1 constellation. So they gotta make it work at 10 minutes. But the thing about Legion Commander and IO Tiny getting good levels is not really bode well for them. Here comes Cooldown, level 5, Legion Commander.
Will connect. MyPro in a lot of trouble.
They're
Nowhere
just
really to
tickling
go.
him down.
Just gonna last hit, and there it is. Palos taking him out of there. At least finally something going Philippines' way.
Are scanning.
That was a really big kill. So Gyrocopter gets really good levels in farm. We can confirm that. If Undyne can get some levels on him before 10 minutes, maybe like level 5 will be good. They can definitely push the and there's a Cory just sitting at the secret shop getting killed.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
I'm still not used to seeing all the courier snipes now that everybody gets one, but because it makes it harder to keep track of everything. And now finally Zeus getting some levels, no longer level 1. And that means that, you know, Puck will have a pretty good lane there. I mean, stacking Ancients, that's one way to get yourself back in the game here. Nico trying his best, but he has just been struggling.
But, you know, Templar Assassin. The one good thing about her is even if your lanes really go bad, sour, you know, you can just jungle it out. And one of the best stack clear as Templar Assassin Nico has joined the 3K net worth club.
I guess it's a good club to be a part of. Still Viper, absolutely killing it there in mid.
Dire's
Rocket
middle tower is under attack.
it eventually. Oh no.
So I say the initiative is still on the Team Thailand side, but it's not like Philippines is powerless either. They got good solutions to the problem, but it's a matter of execution. So
trying to go for the dive in here.
Here comes the illusory orb.
Yeah.
Kind of, Mashiram kind of showing off his skills again. The waiting rift forward, kind of bait Mypro, and then just orb out. Protect the mid tower.
TP in here.
Is under attack.
Viper in a lot of trouble. There's the taunt. And boom goes the dynamite. Winner for Mypro. And so 514, that's quite a few big hits.
Good rotation from both offlaners, but given that Neurotoxin was nerfed in its cooldown, it's not as, it can't be used as liberally as
Right,
before.
not quite as scary.
I mean, it does not break enemies as much, which is really good for Timbersaw and Templar Assassin.
Well, especially nice to see things working a little bit better there for Philippines. Going just right in on the Tigger. That guy is so low. Low level, low health, low everything.
It's Zeus.
I mean, okay, yeah, you make a good point there.
If you're Zeus, if you're dewarding, and while you're dewarding, you see a Gyrocopter just running at you, you kind of have to like resign.
Yeah,
to
your
fate.
options are limited
Radiant's
at
top
that
tower
point.
is under attack.
But hey, it's nice to see that Philippines are not just surrendering, one of their lanes. At least, even though there have been struggles across the map, the gyro lane is still going fantastically.
That the only thing unfortunate about
Dire's
Zeus dying is the
structures are
timing of
fortified.
it. It was right before the outpost combat, but they catch Gyro.
Going straight in for the taunt. I don't think that's necessarily going to decide it, but certainly the TIE presence up top, certainly enough to capture that outpost. Now, outpost battle on the bottom side. Who's going to win that? Looks like Gyro's in.
I mean, Gyro was killed and then lost the outpost battle, but at the same time, Thailand lost an IO, but took the outpost on the southwest as well. So 2 outposts going to the Team Thailand's side, which is really good conclusion to their dominant laning phase.
Yeah.
So Team Philippines has a lot to work on from now on. It's a lot of catch-up. Bit of EXP disadvantage now. Timbersaw getting bullied
Oh
out.
my god. Yeah, Viper. The Timbersaw lane was something that was supposed to be a big point of strength for the Philippines, but I felt like just because the lanes got swapped up and a little bit weird early on, he was never able to get to that really powerful lane dominator stage that we were expecting him to have.
The real consolation for Team Philippines is that Puck is quite high in the levels. They're coming for the Timbersaw. The Puck is right behind them. Puck saw Mypro.
Oh,
But here comes the Relocate
for
gang.
Assassin.
Relocate was
Coming
here
in.
it comes. Dream Cold right away. Silenced. IO gets bursted down. Tiny is in danger as well.
Oh my god, everything just falling apart here. Thailand completely blown out, and now they have to just head for the hills. And that was beautifully played by Philippines.
And that was without Gyro. Like Team Thailand has to pick their Relocate gangs pretty well, like pretty precisely. Given that you have to duel. You have to duel and set it up perfectly. Otherwise, they're gonna counter your Relocate gangs with Timbersaw, Dreamcoil, Undying. I mean, you should not happen just now.
That was a very scary moment. We saw once again the call down come through, and the gyro started walking towards a small, tiny, scared Zeus. This time Zeus survived.
Yeah, Zeus
Radiant's
has learned
top
from his
tower
last
is under
death.
attack.
And taking the top tower away, these side lane tier 1 towers are really important in this patch, I feel. Given the importance of the outpost. Like, you can't kind of let mid lane tower fall. Like, that's the one thing that went like upside down this patch, that the mid lane tier 1 has been traditionally the most important tier 1 tower.
Right, because it controls so much space.
But now there's so many space around it that you can go, left and right without being ever detected by the tier 1. You can even go like in front of it if you're smoked up without getting your smokes broken.
Wow.
But at the same time, the side lane tier 1s are really crucial in controlling your outposts. So Team Philippines would like to take at least one tier 1 side lane tower down,
Radiant's
since
top
they
tower
lost one
is
to
under
IO
attack.
Tiny. But
Haven't been able to do it just yet, though. Although they were taking it down pretty heavily. Let's see what the next move is for the
Radiant's top
Philippines. Looks
tower
like they
is under
are
attack.
positioning top to take that turret down. Is exactly what you said, Aqua. And it looks like even Bazaram will be able to take
Radiant's
that
top
out.
tower has fallen.
Yep, they take the tower, set the tower equilibrium to even again. Tiny is farming pretty quietly and pretty fast, but Templar Session, as you can see, has caught up in net worth.
Yeah, really got back into the game. Those ancient stacks will do it for you, but also just having Viper out of that mid lane just allowed her a little bit more space to operate.
And the dilemma of Thailand is that they have their half of the map given to both Viper and Tiny, which leaves Legion Commander a bit underfarmed. But right now, the most important part of their lineup is Legion, because it has to initiate the gank, survive the gank, and soak up enough spells for your IO Tiny to come in and DPS freely. But it's a bit low on the net worth, beaten by Puck. That's not a good sign, but you know, Legion Commander, as long as she gets a couple of core items, she'll be fine.
Wait to see what the purpose is there for Tiny hiding on high ground. It's
Radiant's
like,
bottom tower
I'm going to try
is
to
under
initiate
attack.
something here? I don't think so. Well, looks like Philippines want to put a lot of damage on
Radiant
this outer
structures are fortified.
tier 1 mid, but
Radiant's middle
nice
tower
fortification
is
will
under
keep that
attack.
high for a little bit longer.
Dire's
I don't think
top
it's going to
tower
save it
is
though,
under
as
attack.
Thailand give that
Tower
up.
are scattered.
Transition down towards bottom. Agam cancels the escape there. Stun, 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 taunted. Nothing to do there. And another winner down there for our Legion Commander. So that's really going to
Dire's
start
top tower
stacking
is
up.
under attack.
I'm actually excited to see Legion Commander do so well.
Really beautiful rotation from the Team Thailand, given that it was really all timing for Team Philippines to push the mid lane tower. It was 30 minutes before minute mark, 15. But they ganked Timbersaw, didn't take the outpost, but you know, killing Timbersaw itself is a pretty great feat. And relocate to save the Tiny away. And Team Philippines can't really stick around, but Zeus, well,
I feel like this is going to be a common trend here. Such is the life of a Zeus player.
it won't be the last time Zeus goes down like that, I guess.
I mean, you know, mission accomplished, right? You're soaking up. I mean, if that had to happen to someone, I guess it's good that it was Zeus and not, you know, a more impactful hero.
But at the same time, you really don't want to be giving out kills to Templar Assassin more than you did.
That's
So
certainly
far.
true. I mean, TA got shut down pretty hard early on. So for her to mount such a significant comeback, really great for Philippines now. Oh, Timber. I was a little bit worried there for a second. Oh, they're
Yeah.
going back in again.
And IO getting targeted pretty hard. One melt strike
Jeez,
and her.
Okay, well, TA's online. And now Tiny, no IO to help you out now. Early relocation. Tiny is going to get one back to base the hard way.
But now Legion Commander has rotated correctly.
Zeus
But
coming in.
Tiny goes down first. Although even if you're dead, you get the EXP.
Pretty
And
big
Triggers die again. Common trend, as you said.
I was going to say, look at this. Timber just going off in this fight. Absolutely God mode. Even with the duel coming through. I mean, I think Timber should still have a pretty good chance of at least taking down the Viper.
Viper's pretty precarious in his health. But did put a
Radiant's bottom
vessel on
tower
him.
is under attack.
The buff wears out. Normal duel for at least for like 20 more seconds.
Yeah.
Zeus bought back for
Radiant
this.
structures
So
are
I think Team
fortified.
Philippines kinda has come out
Radiant's
and
bottom
even
tower is
or
under
as
attack.
above in the net worth combat. Net worth department. But that was a good opportunity caught up for Team Philippines. Catch the IO Tiny. IO first
Yeah.
and then Tiny. I mean, Thailand did retaliate pretty well, you know, rotating in Legion Commander, everybody just converging to Templar Assassin, but IO Tiny died first, and that was an unfortunate loss of DPS.
Still one of the closest games that we've seen in the tournament so far, and I think both of these teams undefeated really shows why. Tiny started to get online though, and now, oh no. You were right,
Yeah.
Aqua. Not the first time, not the last time we're going to see
We've seen this before.
that happen to Zeus. But now, you know, Viper's still not out of the woods just yet.
Viper wanted to be more active with Twitch Travels and Spirit Festival, but not really happening at the moment. Okay, Relocate coming in.
This is Thailand just absolutely using their mobility to huge advantage, destroying Philippines. 3 for, I guess like 3 for 1, if you count the
Radiant's
Zeus
middle
death.
tower
Oh
is
yeah,
under attack.
Zeus was there as well. Yeah, we almost forgot. But that's the ideal Relocate team fight they want to have. So Legion casting Duel and Viper soaking up a lot of spells, a lot of damage, and then IO Tiny coming in. So that's the ideal fight Team Thailand had. So the network's pretty much even. Viper getting tankier, Legion getting stronger.
So this is a little bit worrying. So when Thailand fight on their terms, when they have great relocate ganks like that coming through, they just completely crush. But for Philippines, it feels like they're a little bit better at least playing the big picture a little bit more. And they did get their TA back online, but it's completely ineffective in that last fight.
I mean, Team Philippines definitely understands what they're good at and what they're not good at. That's why they were looking for IO Tiny, farming the jungle first. And then, I mean, they tried to go for the kill opportunity after killing Zeus. They saw Viper, so they converged on the Viper, but there was Legion Commander and IO Tiny came in. But at that point, they kind of passed the point of no return, so team fight had to happen.
Yeah, at least as far as static objectives go, Philippines is crushing it, top down, bottom down, and this really does put a lot of pressure on those outposts, like you were talking about being so effective or so important to control. So let's see what Thailand wants to do to respond. A lot of pressure here on top tier 2.
They gotta use the glyph. If IO Tiny relocates in, the tower is gonna melt away in like 3 seconds. So,
I guess glyph was important to use, but it looks like on the other side, Philippines looking to make a pick of their own.
Well, I think Boomba was a right choice of not taking Tiny back with him. They kind of saw the smoke gank coming because Gyro was pushing bottom anyway, so IO did not take Tiny back. He knew Team Philippines was waiting for him.
Right.
So a 4-man smoke gank and a couple of ultimates used for a single IO is definitely a good thing for Team Thailand.
Yeah, I mean, exactly the same outcome with both tier 2s going down, but much less resources expended there by Thailand to make that happen. So, yeah, I mean, it sucks to lose your IO again, but, I mean, probably worth it in the end.
It's fine. IO is at this point like another item for Tiny. But you see that Tiny net worth going over like 12K now?
Yeah, that's so worrying.
I mean, Gyro and Templar Assassin are both near or over 10K, but still, IO Tiny is the greatest DPS in the game right now, and Team Philippines has to respect that.
Yeah, for sure, and it's just going to get more and more pronounced as the game draws on. I mean, Melt's nice and everything, but you're not going to take down a Tiny with 12K net worth. So, as the game goes on, it feels like Philippines is all about that, teamwork, making their dream work as it has the entire tournament long. When they are coordinated and together, it just looks so good. But this time, Thailand's looking pretty coordinated, and they've got some really strong late game kicking in, especially in the hands of that Tiny. So let's see what happens when we stop having this lane base. Oh, there's the blink in. Taunt comes through. Damage is good.
IO Tiny coming in. See, duel into IO Tiny is key. I mean, the relocate wears off soon, so IO's gonna go back, but that's tier 1 down, and they go back to farming. Taking the perhaps the best hero to gank, and then the last tier 1 tower. Team Thailand is taking smart objectives.
It's not even like there's a cooldown to that. I mean, what is it, like 20 seconds? It's gonna be back online again.
I mean, the relocate cooldown has always been nerfed, but at the same time, from the receiving end, it's just so instantaneous.
Yeah.
They were here at one moment, next moment they're on the other side of the map.
And just continuing to farm just kind of drives the nail even deeper. This Tiny, he's just doing everything. I mean, this is the reason this pairing is so strong, but I think it's kind of rare that you see such an iconic example of this Thailand just running it, kind of running circles around Philippines at this point.
Yeah, Team Thailand definitely taking a lot of advantageous fights, but both teams can go late. I mean, Team Philippines has really good late game, level 30 heroes like Puck,
oh god,
Templar Assassin, but Team Thailand does have Zeus. IO Tiny is always strong, and there's Legion Commander who can only get stronger as the game goes on, unless you lose the duel.
I don't think I've seen a lost duel so far. I think maybe one wasn't decided in the end, but mostly wins so far. We're a long way away from those level 30s, but just something to think about in the future.
I mean, if one game, I mean, you talked about a game that goes above 90 minutes yesterday.
That's true. That's true. I mean, at least one, I would not argue, especially since yesterday we didn't get to cast a lot of Dota. We can make up for it with maybe one long game, especially when you consider like the overall skill level of both of these teams being so high as they are undefeated.
I mean, if there's one game that could go over 90 minutes, I think this game might be it.
Under attack.
They're really equal right now in terms of game sense, I guess.
Yeah, game
And
sense, team play,
see-
net worth.
Okay, so they kind of felt the smoke gang coming. IoTiny just hides in the tree line and Zeus ultimate to confirm that. And counter smoke comes in. Legion gets revealed.
Oh, there's
goes
the
first.
blink in, the Dream Coil, locking him down, call down right on top of it. BKB pop there by Vipers to start going up, and I think the damage is done.
Yep, this is what Team Philippines wants to run into. And Boombell gets instantly. Oh, okay, there's Mechanism.
Look at that, just barely surviving off to the back, still taken down. There's another win off the duel. Thailand on a rampage, chasing down. Timber saw through the trees, cutting him down, and he probably will make it out from here.
That was really well played by Legion.
Jeez.
MyPro literally saved the game by, like, Team Philippines was spread out, but at the right moments, right places. But Legion Commander saved IoTiny after IO popped the mechanism. And I don't know, Team Philippines couldn't really outlast them in a team fight like that.
Yeah, doesn't matter which trust roster you're talking about. MyPro iconically bringing the Thai Dota back here at IESF 2019. Making it look good for Thailand. Very good fight for them. Still pretty even across the board, but you're just seeing this combo over and over and over again. So Legion, initiation into IoTiny, just so much damage.
And Viper and Legion really understanding the outpost meta. So they went hand in hand towards the bottom outpost since they lost the top one and took it right before the EXP timing. So the EXP is distributed evenly to both teams again. And
Good
Viper
rotation.
pushing top. Timber hasn't really gained much net worth since mid game, which is a bit problematic. But Puck is getting farm instead. So Team Philippines is trying to really boost Puck at least to level 25 and have it act as another core.
Yeah, a lot of versatility, I guess, makes a lot of sense there, especially since Puck kind of had to take over that mid lane from TA. Really, I guess we haven't seen too much from TA. Certainly not as online as you might expect.
And really good, item coming out. Dropped by Palace. They got Telescope, which everybody in Team Philippines can really enjoy. And Mindbreaker dropping for MyPro. Will be really good against Puck. Just one random auto attack, and the Puck will be silenced, which is really crucial against him. And you see that Gyrocopter trying to keep up with farm against Tiny, but Tiny just farms so fast.
Yeah, it's actually getting a little bit ridiculous here. I mean, he's within, what, 2-3k gold net worth, but still, that is just quite a bit. Smoking up.
They saw that the Nimbus was used by Zeus, and Zeus used his ultimate. I mean, ultimate should be back up pretty soon, but it's pretty good smoke gank. Worded and then waiting, but Team Thailand is not really coming down to the river.
Yeah, starting Roche here. And I think basically completely unscouted. I'm looking at the vision coverage, and it's just not. I guess, well, for a while it wasn't there, but obviously not going to commit to the Roche.
They like
Are scanning.
use smoke to wait till the Nimbus goes out and went straight into the pit. But this was really well played by Zeus. After the Nimbus goes out and enemy heroes who were missing for such a long time,
Yeah.
he just pops the ultimate for vision. Like Zeus ultimate is really good, and not just for the. That's one meld. Viper comes in, but checked out.
Yeah, immediately. Now Kimbo wants to follow up
melts.
on Palos. Look at this. Oh my god. They're getting slowed by the trap. Oh, this is just going from bad to worse here for the entire roster. That's going to be Viper down and dead. But here comes IoTiny. If there's any way to turn this around, it is that combo. Another win.
But that was on the buyback of the Legion Commander. And IoTiny can't stick around too long. They might get turned around by Team Philippines. Do they want to go into Roche Pit now?
I don't know about that.
They just checked if they're rushing or not. But Palace comes in. Will they be punished for sticking around too long? Puck comes in.
I mean,
silence. Double silence. And Viper save it.
It's going to take a miracle to turn this one back around. Nico taking a lot
Oh
of damage.
my God.
Look
Tiny.
at Tiny go. Nothing tiny about this. Kimmo can't even stick around as the Undying. He's not even going to be able to live up to his name. Or will he? Nope. Right clicks him down. But yeah, Puck's out of there. Nothing can stop the rock from rolling. I think this time Snowball might be in Thailand's favor.
Yeah, that's Temporary Assassin and Undying for Tiny. Definitely not a good trade. And you see how farmed this Tiny is. It's only 28 minutes in, but and another core that is just as farmed, almost as farmed as Tiny, can't even hold a candle to it.
No, not at all. I mean, especially with that IO support. Oh, starting to look so scary, and now with the Roche being taken by Thailand. I mean, Puck's here, so has the opportunity to go in, but probably
trying
just gonna be
to
a
steal
spectator.
it, but
Going
comes
in
the
with the orb, not going to follow through. Wait, what? Oh my God, it's so close! Knocked up, he's not going to be there.
was a good try, but like on the other side of the Ethereal Zone, Legion Commander comes in right away, so Puck could not bide his time. Puck wanted to wait like about 2 or 3 more seconds to jump in, but if you see Legion Commander coming in for the duel, you just gotta either run or try to go into the Roche pit.
Yeah, you're not going to beat the duel, for sure. Well, off the Roche, another tier 2 turret takedown and even controlling the outpost on the side. This is just starting to look like a little bit of a struggle for Philippines. I mean, they've been in the net worth lead almost the entire game.
comes in.
Now it's turning around. Yeah, IoTai can't just act with impunity. Rocket tracking onto IO, just going to take it after pulling back. And, oh, man, this is starting to look a little bit rough for Philippines.
They really need a solution against that IO Tiny now. Like about up to like 5 or 10 minutes ago, they could just fight the other 3 first, or IO Tiny first, divide the team fight, and then, you know, out DPS the first 2 or 3, and then, you know, continue with the remaining team fight. But now, if there's only even if there's only 1 Tiny left, Team Philippines can't really, you know, man fight against them.
I mean, yeah, how do you kill that which cannot die? We don't know. And so for Philippines, suffice it to say, it might take a little bit more time for like TA to get a little more farmed, or I guess some amount of support to come through. But it's just so hard, especially with the mobility that IO affords here. I don't know. What's the secret sauce for Philippines? How do they make it back in this?
They just gotta put more farm on Puck and Gyro. I mean, Templar Assassin is farming pretty well for now, but they gotta put some items. Gyro comes to go for items right now, and Puck does need another core items, I think. I think it's done making Aghanim. So control IO and Tiny, and you just gotta kite around Tiny, which is really hard when there's IO attached to it, but you know, it's just gotta be done. It's about teamfight execution. And they got Aegis, so gotta work against that as well.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be tough enough to get the 1 kill, much less another one. Well, I guess the Aegis there on Q, but he is making a very, very strong case for himself. So let's see what the rest of the Philippines roster can make happen here. Fearless is doing a good job clearing out the wave and at least keeping it off the turret, but can't be too complacent.
Chicken and Charm, pretty good for Zeus. And Team Philippines trying to buy the time by split pushing. Puck being a real annoyance behind the enemy line, behind enemy lines, just cutting creeps constantly. Nico taking the outpost. Okay, the Puck gets taken out, but meanwhile, outpost is taken by Nico.
Yeah, I think that outpost almost worth it. Sucks to lose your Puck, especially when he is farmed kind of as a pseudo core, but yeah, the outpost makes a huge difference. But here we go. Engagement on to Kimmo. Gets to the top. He will be pretty indestructible. Timber Saw trying to escape, but not going to.
Well, I mean, there's another Zeus death, but
yeah,
I don't know why Team Philippines, without Puck, they can't really control IO Tiny. So they, even if they knew where the relocate is gonna return to, they should be really wary of going into it. I think they calculated the rest of the Team Thailand to be a bit farther away, so they can just burst the IO Tiny, at least IO down with Undying and Timbersaw, but that wasn't the case. Timbersaw goes down, Undying survives, luckily, and Zeus dies, but Zeus respawns in just 20 seconds.
Now trying to go high ground, at least for a little bit. There's the toss. Palos cannot stay and fight. There's nothing that can take this Tiny down. High ground, Rax under attack. I mean, you don't want to overstate your welcome here, but certainly it seems like this is more the Thai base than it is for the Philippines. Puck, illusory orb forward, Dream Coil catches 3. Leash.
Ghost Scepter right on IO as soon as Temple Sense jumps in, and Legion Commander duels him, but Nico survives with the BKB. Can he take out Tiny though? Evo goes down.
A bit of a rough time. There's the Aegis popped onto Viper. Q just going off, clearing the way here for the revive. Viper back up and at him again, and Philippines desperately trying anything that they just can't scratch this rock.
And IO even bobbed back for this. So Mushroom just decides to cut the wave. But the damage has been done. The mid lane Rax has been gone. Tiny is the ultimatum right now. So Team Philippines has really limited time, maybe about 5 or 10 more minutes to figure out a solution.
Middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, I mean, the graph completely tells the tale of a game that was really looking good for Philippines before that Tiny came online around 20 minutes, and then after that, it's all Tiny time. Ooh. So still no answer from Philippines, but the game goes on. They did lose their mid lane of Rax, so obviously that sucks. But they've still got the ability to shove out that lane and then try to make a play somewhere else.
I mean, couple oversight, I'd say, in the drafting phase. I know, like, Team Philippines definitely had a plan against it, but giving out IO Tiny, it's like you could have won a bit more easily, is what we'll say. Like, you really didn't have to deal with IO Tiny, but while they decided to, it's a bit of a struggle right now.
Yeah, a little bit problematic. I guess that's the way I'll put it. I like that Ashram is continuing to try to cut these waves and be as annoying as possible.
Definitely wasting so much time.
No,
that
nope.
is done. That Tigger's Nimbus timing was perfect.
That was beautiful. Very well done there. Immediate taunt for yet another victory. I think that's what the first victory of the game.
Yeah, Puck was going to jaunt right away, but that minute stun from Nimbus stopped him for a tiny second before he managed to duel him. Good use of spells, and Team Thailand definitely on their footings. But despite being a Rax ahead, or lane of Rax ahead, Team Philippines only down by less than like 1K net worth. So if they can drag it out to that 90-minute game.
I mean, look, we're starting to see like a 6,000, 7,000 net worth here lead for this Tiny. Turrets don't exist. Heroes don't exist. He just walked through everything, and now looking to go high ground again. Right, clicking it down.
Oh my God! Power goes down.
Another taunt, another duel victory. Q on a monster kill streak, and I don't think that even tells the full story because there's just nothing to happen. Look at that. Nico is just going in on him. Can't scratch him. As soon as he loses HP, gains it right back again.
How do you kill that Tiny with all that armor, all that movement speed, all that damage?
I feel like Q having teammates is a little bit unfair. It should just be 5 heroes versus just him.
At this point, Tiny can't even win 1 versus 9, but I spoke too soon.
Well, look, at some point, you will take infinite damage and finally die. So congratulations, Tiny is not completely immortal. Dead for about 70 seconds, and so Philippines has really just this opportunity. How do you make it work? What can you do while that Tiny is dead for 70 seconds?
They just gotta push. I don't think the rush is up yet. So, okay, so some buybacks were forced, but that's just Viper. But Tiny and Iron Legion both don't. They don't all have buybacks.
Radiant's middle tower.
I mean, this is
just the lane of back because
yeah,
they do have Templar Assassin, pretty good lane pusher as well. Pretty good building destroyer.
I mean, how do you characterize that? Is that throws? There's overextension. Philippines definitely couldn't really deal with Tiny straight ready to fight, but
Well, are they gonna go for tier 4?
what? Okay, this is a little bit
Tigger's
ambitious.
long, he has buyback,
They
but
could go.
this is Viper buyback.
No way.
One team fight without buybacks is costing a lot. IO's coming back in 17, Legion in 10, but tier 4 could be down in like 5 seconds. No more Glyph. Wait, no, there's Glyph on the Radiant side. Not used yet, I think. Yep, here comes Glyph.
Yeah, saves that tier 4 turret at the last second. But oh my goodness, I don't even think that's going to last much longer. And now they're going for the core. It's down to half health. Can they save the day here, Philippines? They're going for it, but can
They're
they
trying
be
to buy
stopped?
all this time. Tiny's back, but is it?
Not for long.
No.
This is Philippines. They're going to take it.
You know, IO Tiny may be strong, but the buildings weren't strong enough, I'd say.
Oh, man. I'm a little bit shook after that one. You know, you've spent the entire time talking about how, so first 20 minutes, you know, pre-Tiny really coming online, Philippines, they're killing it. And then all of a sudden you start to like get these worried feelings when Tiny starts to like ignore everybody and kill everything. You're like, wait a second, this is maybe a little bit strong. And then one death and it's over.
That Tiny not having buyback was really crucial, I think.
Right.
At that point, even if you're feeling really invincible, Tiny really was that one core held everything together. They invested a lot in Tiny. You see that even if there was like a mid lane racks gone, Team Philippines was only down by less than 1k gold. That means that every gold pulled into Tiny and everyone else is a bit underfarmed compared to Team Philippines. So Team Thailand did their best to protect Tiny, of course, but Tiny not having buyback at that precise moment led into a big push down the mid into the GG.
Well, that's going to do it for one of the most exciting games of our Dota coverage and, of course, the end of our Swiss phase. So don't go anywhere. When we come back after this break, we'll be able to recap our Swiss phase of the tournament and move into the next playoff stage. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.